Hi everyone, Shafiq here. Welcome to another edition of Founders Forum, where we answer questions submitted by founders and innovators like yourself. But before we do, I want to remind you to subscribe somewhere right here to our YouTube channel, as well as click the notification bell so you can gain immediate access to the latest episodes of our acclaimed show where we help founders by answering critical questions related to systematically building your startup. All right, hey Steven, are you ready to with our first question?
Hey there, Speak. I am ready with it right here. And our first question comes from a first-time founder whose enterprise SaaS solution intends to serve the logistics industry. Also, his startup is in the market validation phase. And his question is, during this time of social distancing, I'm having difficulty getting in front of customers to get my manual sales done. What can I do about this?
Okay, so I think the key thing you said was that this founder is still in market validation phase, which means that he hasn't gotten his first 5 sales or pre-orders, and he's still trying to figure out, if he's solving a compelling problem, trying to find a channel, get the price right, and be able to deliver the 10x value. So that's what market validation is. So, and it sounds like he's starting at the selling point. So if he's trying to sell, it sounds like his manual lead engine is not working. And if he had a properly functioning manual lead engine, then he would be able to regularly get qualified leads that would help him move forward with the sales process. So in our last episode, we extensively discussed how to build a manual lead engine. So when you reach out and prospects don't respond, then your messaging is not effective. And really, social distancing is just not the cause. This founder would have no better luck even if they showed up at the prospect's place of work and try to see them. The prospect would politely dismiss them and move on. So my suggestion would be to look at your messaging and determine if you're highlighting the correct problem your prospect suffers from. Also, you may have to take one more step back and start with the problem you're trying to solve and who has that problem. In this case, since our founders in the logistics industry and they provide a SaaS solution, they need to figure out how they are better than the alternatives, which means that they need to go back to their original customer interviews to figure out the compelling problem they're solving for their customer. The last thing I would add is that since this is an enterprise sale, it necessarily means a complex sale with many different buyers. So this founder needs to understand how the buying cycle starts for this product. Does it start with the technical buyer, the financial buyer, or the decision maker? To start the sales process, you must know how to create awareness of the problem you're solving and target the message to the appropriate role. In some complex sales, you may need a multi-prong approach to target your messaging to all different buyers, and by which I mean you would have a message that targets the technical buyer, the financial buyer, and the decision maker. Each of them would need a message that they can relate to in their role. So, for example, you would not highlight the quality issues to a financial buyer, but would emphasize the resulting cost savings and the improved quality, from the improved quality. So, of course, if you're talking to a technical buyer, you would definitely, emphasize the improved quality and kind of stay away from the cost because that's not their concern. The point I'm making is that no single messaging is going to work across all different roles. Steven, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, as you hinted at, one thing that you and I often encounter is the challenge of founders who've already built their product and now they're trying to sell it. So in that case, it's the startup equivalent of putting the cart before the horse. So we get it, though. We all know that it's tempting to build a solution first, but making that mistake leads exactly to the issues that Shafiq just outlined, where a founder builds a great product, but it's for the wrong audience because they didn't validate their underlying key business assumptions. One way to look at it would be it'd be like developing a diet drink and being surprised when you can't sell to sumo wrestlers who, in fact, actually want to gain weight. And there's one last thing, though. If this founder's manual leads were effective, then manual sales would not have been there wouldn't have been an issue related to in-person meetings or not, because Zoom or a similar tool would frankly suffice. So, okay, next question. Next question here, and this one comes from a founder with previous startup experience who's attended our in-person events. Very cool. Glad we're able to stay connected with you here. So hope you keep joining us for these next episodes. Now, this founder's consumer packaged goods startup is just starting out as it's in the market validation phase, and her question is, when I attended your in-person workshops last year, you've mentioned building a non-functional prototype while testing your price so as to help a customer understand how a solution would work. How do I build a non-functional prototype for a physical product? I get how you do it for a digital solution, but I don't understand how to do it for a physical one.
Okay, so so prototype, and it's about consumer packages. Got it. Okay, so that's a great question. I think Stephen, if I recall correctly, you've already covered and shared an example of a non-functional prototype for a physical product from your favorite founder, Mr. Musk. So if you've not seen the non-functional prototype for the Boring Company, then you should Google it. Stephen, can we queue up that video really quick? Yeah, okay, so if it's, I'm going to assume it's on the screen right now. And okay, so what we're looking at here is a 3D simulation of how a physical product would work. I'm not sure what tool Elon and their team used to produce this, but an awesome free tool you can use to build out your simulation is Blender. It's available both for the Windows and the Mac environment. So the answer to your question is, for a non-digital product, you also build a simulation that visually demonstrates how your solution would work. Now, I'm not sure you noticed when that video was playing, but in Elon's Boring Company video, it was clear that the city streets were full of traffic and getting around was slow, while the tunnel had no such problem. So in other words, the value that the Boring Company was creating was crystal clear from that particular demo video, right? The non-functional prototype that allowed everybody to buy into the idea. So you have the same challenge. You have to pull off the same thing. You have to make sure that your demo clearly conveys the value of your solution and why choosing your solution is going to be so much better than the existing alternative, okay? So also, if you're not technical and you don't want to spend the time learning Blender, then of course you can use Fiverr resources to get your simulation built. It's another very cost-effective option. So Stephen, would you like to praise Elon once again? He might be actually watching and finally respond to your incessant tweeting at him.
All right, very funny. But seriously though, Elon, when are you gonna tweet me back? I mean, all I'm asking is that you use your brother's voice. Kimball would be a great voice of Tesla. So can we just ask to have Kim? So can we do it where we can just ask Kimball questions, just like we do with Siri or Alexa? Seems pretty reasonable. Elon, I'll wait for your tweet back. All right, Shafiq. While I do wait for Elon's reply, which I'm sure come at a moment now, I think it's probably worth acknowledging how fantastic Elon's companies are when it comes to understanding who their customers are and what the nature of the compelling problem is that their customer is suffering from. He really understands that what the customer needs are and the customer itself. So while Shafiq gave a great example of a non-functional prototype with the Boring Company, which set off a lot of opportunities for them, you can find similar examples with other Elon companies like SpaceX or Neuralink, which is one of his latest companies that people don't know nearly enough about. Now, when you think about SpaceX, I mean, how do you handle that for a non-functional prototype? You have to go that route, because who would build a fully functional prototype of a reusable rocket before understanding the compelling problem your target customer has? And likewise, how could a startup get someone interested in putting a microchip in their brain without first understanding the compelling problem of its early adopters? And that's exactly the reason why Neuralink's initial customers are people who already suffer from brain conditions that require a microchip to manage their brain function, such as those who experience epileptic seizures. In Neuralink's case, a non-functional prototype would be an absolute necessity to validate customer demand and solution value prior to building a functional prototype. And that makes sense because you have some inherent production and regulatory costs that you don't want to waste your money on if you can't generate customer demand and actually deliver value. And frankly, this is, in my view, a smart first step relative to Neuralink's stated goal of developing a brain-based solution so that humanity doesn't get overtaken by overtaken by AI. I could probably use a little bit of Neuralink right now, frankly, in how I'm answering this question. Okay, I'm probably waiting for Elon's tweet here, which hasn't come in yet, Shafiq. So we probably should move on to our next question. And this one comes from a first-time founder who had been previously a part. What's that?
I think you got your share of praise in now, so let's move on.
Okay. I don't know. I feel pretty confident that I can praise Elon a little bit more. Okay, while we wait for his tweet, still hasn't come yet. Let's move on to that last question. This one, like I said, is coming from a first-time founder who had previously been a product manager for a major online marketplace. Also, her startup is in the second startup phase of repeatable sales and delivery. And her question is, as I'm past market validation, I hired a sales manager with extensive B2B sales experience to convert my manual sales engine into a self-serve model. Unfortunately, after 6 months, we have not made any measurable progress. What should I look for in my next sales manager? By the way, if you happen to work for this founder, you may want to brush up on your LinkedIn profile. What say you, Shafiq, for this founder's question?
Yeah, so in one of these questions, you always wonder if the person's already gone yet or not. So, well, all kidding aside, this is a common problem we see with startups. Hiring a sales manager and expecting them to perform the work of product managers is the problem. Sales managers with experience selling face-to-face are of little use in building a self-serve sales engine. Sales managers are good at building out a team to sell using a face-to-face model, but they still rely on product management to give them the selling aids they need to sell. So what do I mean by selling aids? Well, they include non-functional demos like we just talked about, or even a functional demo depending on how far along you are, as well as brochures, product pricing structure, contract terms, and the like, all worked out ahead of time. Because without those aids, they'll flounder and make it up, which means you'll either end up with no sales or bad sales, and neither is a good prospect. So hire people with digital sales experience and some project management experience, or product management experience, not project management. So you need someone who understands the self-serve model of doing business and isn't tied to the face-to-face world. Stephen, you want to add your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the main thing that comes to my mind is this is a hiring mismatch for the founder. While founders get accustomed to wearing multiple hats and shifting from one job to the next, in this case, I think the founder may be looking for two different skill sets. She likely is looking for someone to help her build the sales materials that you already referenced, and then a separate person to lead the sales process. And frankly, even in the second startup phase, one of the founders should be in the role as a lead product manager. Now, just to clarify for everybody, in case you're not familiar, a product manager is different than a CTO or a VP of engineering in that a product manager is not necessarily a technical role. Instead, the product manager oversees all aspects of a product line, from marketing to sales to production and delivery, and that person works with the functional leaders for those key business functions if the startup has filled those roles. Now, in this case, the founder should presume the product manager role and then add a sales manager once she has the sales resources developed. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for questions right now. If you're looking to build your startup lean, please click the link nearby and drop your question in the comments below. Also, please subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you can receive immediate access to our latest episodes. Building Lean is brought to you by the LeanMastery Incubator. Unlike other incubators or accelerators that rush you to pitch to investors whether you're ready or not, LeanMastery guides you in building key business functions that turn up revenues fast, which puts you in the best position to successfully raise money and outrun your competition. Learn more about how you can become a LeanMastery Incubator member at leanmastery.co. Thank you all for watching, and we look forward to helping you be successful in pursuing your startup dreams by building lean.